Alright guys, so today the video that I wanted to make is actually of a year 1 gameplay, and I got it off of a little thumb drive that I found on my floor underneath my bed. I said, what's this? And I look and I have a ton of year 1 gameplay, and this was a 45-0 game that I don't remember if I posted or not, but if I did, the following was a lot smaller, and I can guarantee a ton of you have not seen this gameplay, and I want to use it because the topic of this video is discussing my complaints about 2.0 PvP, where we were in 1.0, and kind of where we've moved on. And I wanted to consolidate all my thoughts and all my opinions into one well put together and thought out video. So I put a little bit of a structure for this video. I don't usually structure anything on my YouTube channel, but for this video, this special occasion, I decided to. So I wanted to break it down into a few things. The main thing being time to kill, headshots, buffing, nerfing misconceptions between developing companies, and matchmaking. So the first one, like I said, time to kill. The time to kill in Destiny has gone way slower from what it used to be. Even when the game was taken over by auto rifles and everything was not as quickly killing as hand cannons, the average kill time was still pretty fast, and you could melt people pretty easily with a good auto rifle. And then from then on, we went to Hawk Moon, Thorn, and Last Word, which melted everyone instantly, in my opinion. As far, because if you aren't aware, maybe you're new to the channel, I play in tournaments and stuff. Of course, Destiny is not a completely balanced and competitive game, but what some people have done is they host tournaments and they've fund a ton of money for them. They've had multiple tournaments with prize pools over thousands of dollars, and I play in them. And in that situation, in that environment, you get to witness tons and tons of top tier PvP players over time, because I've been playing in these matches for I think it's been around 14 months now, so I've kind of seen how the change in metas has affected skill gaps and performance and all that, and you can really see a shift in a lot of things over time, and time to kill has gone way up. Currently in a tournament, if someone's using Thorn, not as much as it was in the previous before April update patch, because you could still triple tap people very easily. Essentially what this does, you can 2-tap or 3-tap rather people in 1.0, and you can also do it after a patch later or 2 patches later, where essentially everything in the game has been nerfed to slow down the kill time. So as an effect, which is my next topic, the time to kill has shifted more towards emphasis on headshots to just landing the shots in general. And Last Word, if you've been using it, you know that the shots don't always land for you, and it's a very inconsistent gun. Same thing with Hawkmoon. Sometimes it comes down to just pure connection. Sometimes it's just pure luck of whether the game registers it or not. The accuracy of hand cannons going way down, but still being one of the more dominant weapons in the game, has led to really inconsistent games and really inconsistent gameplay. You can 2-tap people, or you can melt people with a Last Word, put down the same exact sequence of shots, so literally the same exact placement of shots, and the result can be different on different occasions, which is understandable. It's a 30 frames per second game, the coding is not the greatest, or the networking is not the greatest, and things are going to happen, but it's been like that for a very long time, mainly starting in 2.0. It wasn't nearly as bad with registration issues in 1.0. Everything, when you shot someone, it would hit, and that also does connect to matchmaking, which I'll mention in a little bit. But the main thing is the guns aren't consistent. If you want to have a hand cannon meta, which is kind of where we're at right now, pulses are really strong. They can compete, but in a competitive environment where there's a ton of really top tier PvP players, hand cannons are always going to be the weapon that kills the fast. They have mid-air accuracy. You can pop in and out of the abundance of cover that Destiny has in the game, or in all the maps and everything. And just overall, it's been the strongest choice as far as PvP weapons go for a very long time. And honestly, I don't really see that changing unless they nerf them completely into the ground. Ice Luna is super solid. Hawk Moon is solid. Thorn and Last Word are still really good as well. Maybe not if you were a person that only hip fired Last Word, but the Last Word as a whole, when it's registering, it's really good. But just I feel like it's led to just an inconsistent meta where there's been less emphasis on headshots and precision than there is on just landing the shots in general, which is kind of my main point. Thorn in year 1 was a weapon where if someone tried to camp with it and sit around, you could just slide around the corner with quick draw and 2-tap them instantly, and they would get destroyed. And now that's kind of favored. Like, first shot when everyone is using the same exact weapon, being Thorn, in a competitive environment is literally the most important thing you could have. No one uses Blade Dancer because that got nerfed in the ground, and so no one has Quick Draw. And when it's a slower paced game, and people can just sit around in the back of the map, and that's favored above everything else. And in the sequence of patches, we're essentially making the game slower and slower. Shotguns got nerfed, essentially. They move slower, they pull out slower, they aim slower, and then they did the same exact thing to snipers. They increased the zoom and they made them draw out slower. So why are we buffing, or why are we not buffing everything? We're nerfing everything. So if you look at like Bungie forum complaints and everything, it's all about what's overpowered. But every once in a while you'll find complaints about which weapons and which class of weapons are the least powerful. And what Bungie should have done, which is, it's really hard because they could get a lot of flack from the general player base if everyone's complaining about Thorn, and then like, yeah, so the next patch is coming up, we decided to keep Thorn and Last Word the same, but we're buffing pulse rifles and scout rifles and auto rifles and everything else. People would still be upset about them not touching Thorn after all the complaints they had, which is understandable. And it feels like the sequences of patches aren't to actually balance the game in order of what's best for the game as a whole. It's more of like a trying to keep in best of standing as possible with the general public. And that's another thing that relates to the matchmaking systems, which went from completely connection based to completely skill based, to now what they're saying is a mix of both. So at first it was turning into laggy games. A ton of people were having problems with that, and then after that it got a little bit better. But in general, when you lower the skill gap essentially by making everything weaker and less emphasis on headshots and reaction time being quicker, you've basically everything is defensive now. There's not really an offensive style of playing. And don't get me wrong, you can still have a lot of success playing fast as a fast player, especially when you're playing against opponents who definitely aren't as good as you are, and you're gonna have a lot of success with that. But in general, when you have a rumble game, right, and it's skill-based matchmaking, everybody in general is around the same skill area. But normally in 1.0 there'd be a pretty sharp difference in, like, you could tell by reaction speed, by headshots, by getting two-tapped by Thorn and everything. I hate to bring Thorn into this, but it honestly was the true test of Thorn versus Thorn. Who could play more aggressive and get away with it with better aim and being quicker on their shots and everything, which I was never really a good Thorn user, and I don't think I ever really will be. But I've witnessed it firsthand, because I played Sweaties a ton in year one, and I last word sniped generally pretty much the whole time. And I got completely destroyed by people who would walk around the corner and then two-tap me with Thorn. I could put on Thorn, I couldn't do the same thing. And that's where I witnessed myself being, or lacking, I guess, in my Thorn abilities. And just in general, like Hawk Moon was the same thing. People would walk around the corner and destroy me. Last Word could be the same thing. If you were pre-aiming a door in Last Word, the other person could still run around the corner and melt you. Just in general, it favors a defensive style of play. And when the skill gap is mushed together, it's not definitive who is a better player. It's just kind of random gameplay that goes how it goes. And I've seen really, really good players kind of get messed up by it. And it can be annoying. My view on it for skill-based matchmaking, it should not exist. If you aren't good at the game, then that's something to strive for, to become better, to become like the players you're watching on Twitch or whatever. And it's something you want to work towards. You shouldn't be placed in an environment where you're basically placed with all the disadvantaged players that aren't as good as other ones. You only get better by playing better people. And if people are separating the matchmaking into different groups and tiers of people, no one learns and no one gets better. That's the best way that I learned. I played a skirmish match with my clan. I remember in 1.0 specifically the game, it was on Anomaly, and I went 2-23. And from that point on, I saw what they were using, I switched to that weapon, I tried that playstyle, I switched classes, I tried different things to try to get better at the game, and I played with my clan a ton, my friends. I played during Christmas break, because I had school, right? I couldn't play too much, so during Christmas break, played just hours and hours and hours of skirmish with me and my school friends and people from the clan or whatever, and everyone slowly got better individually. And a ton of those players that I'm talking about now have Twitch partnerships, successful YouTube channels, tons of followers on Twitter, and that's where they kind of all got better. So you just got to play the game more. You're gonna get outplayed, And it makes a sense from the marketing standpoint why Bungie would do this. You want to retain the general player base as a whole. You can appeal to the more advanced player, I guess, or someone who plays the game the most, because that's not the average person that they're trying to sell their game to, because at the end of the day, it's still a business, and Bungie is still trying to make as much money as possible, or at least Activision is. I don't really want to shed too much hate on Bungie in specific, but I don't know. I don't like how they've treated the game in the last 6 months, and I wish it could change. The death of fast-paced gameplay that everyone loved, I think, in year one has repelled a ton of people away from the game. And I literally think, although they're not going to do this, and I don't think they necessarily should do it, but if they brought 1.0 back, just brought it back, deleted all the Taken King maps, deleted all the weapon patches, I guarantee a ton of people would come back, and a ton of people would love the game how it is. Does that make sense? Probably not, but that's just my thoughts on it. That's from me talking with a ton of other people I'm close with, and those are my opinions. So I hope you can respect my opinion. I'd be happy to listen to yours if you want to put it in the description or in the comment section down below. I should have the Bungie page set up for my montage as movie of the week as a submission, so if you want to vote for that, you can. It's been taking days to process, so it might not be processed yet. I'll let everyone know when it is. But I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay, and if you want to see more of these videos, then you might want to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.